SoulSilver is a flawed game. I love the game to death, but it's just too easy. So the other day, I was thinking, what can I possibly do to make the game more challenging without changing too much from the original? Well, what if we took every trainer and every gym leader and just fully evolved their teams? And with a hardcore Nuzlocke on top of it all, little did I know, I was about to create one of the hardest challenges I've ever done. Oh, and if you're liking the video, you should like and subscribe. Alright, on to probably the most important decision of the run, what starter we're choosing. We can immediately eliminate Chikorita, because let's be real, it's a challenge run of Johto, so I'm just left with Cyndaquil and Totodile. I'm planning ahead for some specific matchups later on, so I opted to go with the Fire starter as my partner. We name him Allegation because, unlike his final evolution, the trainers here are not beating the Allegations. Well, we do have one trainer who can beat us, and this guy stole the professor's Totodile. He somehow evolved it into a Feraligatr, and since movesets are updated, our little Cyndaquil gets wiped out by a super effective water gun. Turns out, this one is actually impossible, but luckily, it's not mandatory. And for our revenge, we get to give him a name, and since he's currently our #1 target, I gave him a very fitting name to go along with it. And with that, we've just sealed our rival's fate. So with access to Pokeballs now unlocked, our Nuzlocke journey officially begins as we've got to build a team. Our first pickups are Clockap the Hoot Hoot, which since we made sure to do this encounter at night, we had an 85% chance to encounter him. It's stuff like this, you know, the little optimizations you take when you're a pro Nuzlocker like me. Bruh. Our next encounter up north of Cherry Grove nets us Fent the Weedle, and we also get to witness our first fully evolved battle. Luckily, it's only a level 2 Pidgeot and a level 4 Raticate, so we can power through with Allegation to take them both out. As for the rest of the trainers, we'll just avoid them for now, as we've got to catch a Ladybug, which is just the worst encounter ever, and also a Geodude who got the beautiful name, George Bush. Well, Gorge Bush, since I misspelled it. A few other unnoteworthy encounters later, and that's the whole squad. These are gonna be our main guys to take on the newly upgraded Sprout Tower and all its trainers. Fent has a quad resist to their grass moves, so we can pretty easily make our way up to take out the Elder and his newly buffed team. Fent causes his Victory Bell to overdose, rest in peace, but his Noctowl is actually really strong for this point in the game and takes out our Clockap on a bad switch. We do clean up the match, but we've just got our first death of the run. This one wasn't the most devastating loss since it's only a Hoot Hoot, but it's definitely a wake-up call for us to take these battles more seriously. So to recoup our losses, we can recapture the soul of our fainted Hoot Hoot, who's been reincarnated, I guess you could say. I give him probably my best nickname ever, and with our new team member, we can set foot into our first main challenge of the run, which is gonna be Falkner and his 2 illegal Pidgeots. His gym trainers are no challenge at all, as they've only gotten under-leveled Fearow and Pidgeots. And honestly, Falkner wasn't that bad either, since we've got the best counter to the twin birds, that being our very own Gorge Bush. A couple rock throws later, and the 2 birds have been knocked down, meaning with Badge 1 in hand, we can start making our way over to Union Cave to proceed on to the next town. Now, on the way there, this is some more of that pro Nuzlocke stuff, but I made sure to avoid all our encounters to help us guarantee some other ones later on. One thing I do want to point out, this is our first trainer with a branch evolution, so when I evolved to Slowpoke, I went with Slow King since we're in the Johto region. But I made sure to be mindful of the trainer class too, like Team Rocket with Gloom should get Vileplume, not Blossom, and other stuff like that. Alright, boring technical stuff aside, we made our way through Slowpoke well and cleared out Team Rocket pretty easily, since at this level, their Crobats and Weezings don't have access to their mid-game moveset yet. We catch ourselves one of the local residents, but those are all the encounters I'm going for until after we beat the next gym leader. So that brings us to Bugsy and his Spinnerack puzzle, and luckily the trainers aren't too bad to deal with. Aside from the easy ones like Butterfree and Beedrill, one of them has a Parasect, which of course we torch our way through, and the Double Battle twins are here to show off some new Johto bugs, but their stats are nothing compared to the legendary Mew 3. And Bugsy himself, at first I thought this was going to be a huge run ender, but since we went with the fire starter, we've got the perfect counter to his newly evolved Scizor. Looking back, it was kind of funny how nervous I was for this one, since a quad effective Ember proves to be a 2-shot, and Scizor's AI only goes for a focus energy, meaning we can easily take out his ace and clean up the rest of the battle. But the true challenge of this section lies outside the gym, as our rival, the CEO, is back for blood. Our last battle didn't count, but this time, it's all on the line. He immediately sends out a Gengar, and we're countering back with our legendary Mew 3 for the normal immunity. We can outspeed to hit him with super effective bites, as the AI is still struggling a bit and uses Mean Look. So we can take advantage of that to finish him off, but his Crobat's another story. Crobat is just too strong and too bulky for this point in the game, and even though Mew 3 fires off 3 Hyper Fangs to finish him off with a quick attack, Crobat survives on 1 HP. The AI again messes up, and instead of going for Bite, he uses Leech Life. It's still 20 base power, meaning Mew 3 tanks it on our own 1 HP to finish him off with another quick attack. But that leaves us facing his final Mon, his Ace Feraligatr, who's threatening a powerful water gun into our team. I take a moment to look over our guys, but seeing how frail they are, I know we're not taking 2 hits. So it's gonna be farewell to Mew 3 as we get one last bit of chip in before going down. And that's the momentum we need to send out Fent as we connect with the Twin Needle, getting the poison and slowly whittling him down. I think the AI's still broken because Feraligatr just spams Scary Face even though he's faster than us, meaning Fent can make it out untouched as we survive the encounter and lay our fallen soldier to rest. As for our replacement team member, I didn't bring anyone yet because we've got to do something special for the next set of encounters. After helping clear out the Farfetch'd, we get access to the Headbutt guy, which unlocks Headbutt tree encounters for us. And since we were avoiding all those encounters leading up to Bugsy, we've got all these routes to use them on. The first one is just a Spearow, but it's still important since we need to check them off our encounter list. That narrows down the Headbutt tree pulls, meaning our next encounter is the one I've got my eye on, a Heracross named Mr. Breast. Mr. Breast. Mr. Breast. So with our new team member added, we can make our way through Ilex Forest, helping the Kimono Girl and also catching a Drowsy on our way out. Welcome back, Rizzler. This time, I'll try not to lose you to our rival again. Arriving in Goldenrod, we can get geared up at the game corner, picking up an Abra as our encounter here, but honestly, there's not too much to prep for, since we've got Mr. Breast online now. We can tear through the Furrets and Persians here. Honestly, the only wrench is a level 17 Granbull with Intimidate, but it's their only Pokemon, so it wasn't tough at all. The last trainer has 3 Wigglytuff, which could be a base stat nightmare, but Heracross with the 500 BST just completely knocks it out of the park. We had a couple more upgrades to the team, but with Heracross fully online at level 19 thanks to learning Brick Break, Whitney never stood a chance. I had the rest of the team chip in to take care of Clefable, that way we could save the beast's HP for the Demon Cow in the back. Fent starts chipping away and even lands a poison, but then Clefable uses Metronome and pulls Rest, meaning all of our work's been undone. But that's the perfect opportunity to use Curse, putting Clef on a timer as we can send out Ledian to set up screens before finishing off her lead. So when Miltank comes out, we are perfectly set up for Mr. Breast to come out and 2-shot her with Brick Break, finishing the battle and trivializing this infamous run ender. That's badge number 3, meaning we can make our way over to clear out the Sudowoodo. On the way there, we do face some scary trainers, like Abras are now Alakazams, and also we get to see some Gen 4 Evos, as Tangela can now evolve into Tangrowth. But thanks to our level difference, we can make it out with no casualties as we make it to Ekrutik. That unlocks a ton of new encounters since Johto opens up now, so we grab ourselves a few guys like a Pidgey named Birdflu. Yeah, they tend to do that. And we also catch an execute from a headbutt tree, which I tried to name Wholesome 100, but I was limited by the character limit. So we got Wholesome 10. The Burn Tower is our next stop, and it feels like it was just 5 minutes ago, but we've got another fight with our rival CEO here. His Gengar is still a problem since we don't have our normal immunity, so I'm trying to lead with Mr. Breast since we taught him the Shadow Claw TM. Gengar tries to stop us with a Confuse Ray, but we eventually break through on the second try to take him out. But Gengar survives on 1 HP. But he just ends it for us by going for Curse, taking himself out, but giving himself a clean switch into Crobat. But Gorgie has been chilling in the back of our party for some time now, so he can tag in on the wing attack for his rock resist. But Gorgie's been out of the game too long since we get hit with a supersonic, then proceed to hit ourselves twice in confusion as Crobat pivots to a Parafusion strat. This is not a winning matchup anymore, and we're in a really bad spot now. I switch into Ledian, hoping to set up a Reflect before going down, but Crobat is just too fast and one-shots us with the wing attack. At least it gives us a clean switch, so we can bring out our strongest hitter, which is gonna be Allegation with his Flamethrower TM. But look at how much Flamethrower does. Crobat is just way too bulky for this point in the game, so when we're low enough where I need to play around a critical hit, I'm forced to switch into Fent, my beloved Fent, to take a wing attack and sacrifice himself for the team. The Pope tries to land a Nightshade, but we get outsped a second time and one-shot with Bite. I've pretty much accepted our fate at this point, but the AI finally throws and uses a Supersonic. That 55% accuracy kicks in as Gorge Bush dodges the attack, the same way he dodged that shoe that one time, as we connect back with a Rock Throw to take out this menace. But now we're caught in a pin as Feraligatr hits the field, and this guy's threatening a powerful Water Gun. No one's surviving 2 water guns, and he's still got a Pokemon in the back, meaning we have no choice but to let someone go again. Sorry, Gorgie, you were pivotal to the early game, and I wish you could have stayed around longer. At least it gives us a clean switch to 3-shot him with Brick Break, but Feraligatr hits us with a Scary Face, cutting our speed as his now upgraded Magnezone comes in. I'm confident in a Brick Break taking him out, but I know we're not outspeeding. We've got one option, and that's to switch into Allegation, but it was only a Thunder Wave. But we completely throw our opportunity to use Flamethrower as we get fully para'd, so all we can do is get some chip in before getting taken out. It's all up to Mr. Breast now, who comes out and outspeeds with the Brick Break. Magnezone's health goes down, and that's it. We've made it out alive. Just barely, but we're still alive. Is this it? We came so close to losing the Nuzlocke, and I hate to say it, but if we can't even defeat a rival without losing nearly all our team, is this run doomed? Well, I'm happy to report no. We're fighting back and we're taking this one all the way home. Our new team immediately puts in the work as we take out Morty's gym trainers, with the star of the show being Bird Up, our newly evolved Fearow. With us being immune to all the Gengar spam, we can dodge their licks as we take out all the trainers, making our way to Morty to take him on. He's just a rinse and repeat of his trainers, albeit at a higher level, and honestly, this whole gym was just a disappointment. There's only one Pokemon here, and that's Gengar. I wish I could have showed off a Mismagius, but every trainer either has Ghastly or the occasional Haunter. Morty's the same song and dance as Mr. Breast takes out his first 2 Gengars, and when his ace comes out, we can switch into Bird Up to be immune to his one and only Shadow Ball. His final Gengar is an easy cleanup too, which means that's Morty defeated as Johto now fully opens up for us to explore. And it's a full-on catching spree as we make our way towards the next town, catching ourselves a Magnemite who got the name The Mimic, a Meowth named and also fishing up a Krabby and Olivine named Krabrave. The trainers inside the lighthouse aren't too bad to deal with since the abysmal level curve puts them below level 20. All this stuff is accessible before beating Morty, so we can easily bulldoze through all the trainers to talk to Jasmine at the top. She sends us to Olivine, which just happens to be the location of our next gym challenge, so we might as well knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Chuck is our next obstacle, but half our team is designed to hard counter him. We easily clean up his trainers with Bird Up as our stab aerial ace puts in the work and two-shots everyone. Honestly, I think the guy with the Machamp put up a better fight, cause Chuck just kept trying to land a focus punch. And obviously, Aerial Ace never misses, so his focus keeps getting broken as we collect ourselves a pretty easy badge number 5. The other side of Johto has the same leveling problem, since technically you can go east of Ekritik and take on Team Rocket. So we charge in with Lance, and these morons have level 16 Pokemon, so nothing really noteworthy happens here. The double battle gets an upgrade, and here's an example of where I made Gloom into a Vileplume instead of a Blossom, since Ariana has a Vileplume in her later battles, so I was careful to keep the continuity. We do catch one of the Electrodes on our way out, and he's got my best nickname ever, Sparkiplier.
Hello everybody, my name is
Sparkiplier.
Bruh.
And with Team Rocket cleared out, that unlocks a gym for us, meaning we can get ourselves ready to clear out the ice types here. Our upgrades have significantly improved these trainers, giving them the Mamoswine they always deserved. But Mr. Breest, with his stab break breaks, can easily clear through everyone. I know Pryce will have a Mamo too, and since a third of our team is weak to ice moves, I went out of my way to get some Pokathlon points to unlock the Leaf Stone, getting ourselves a little boost in power before taking them on. But it turns out it wasn't even needed, as Ampharos can take out his lead Dugong, and Mr. Breest can finish off that Mamoswine and his second Dugong. In fact, Mr. Breest is so good that he's also our answer to Jasmine, as he can outspeed both of her upgraded Magnezones for a one-shot, and against her Steelix, we have Crabrawve make a splash by taking her out with a Choice Specs boosted Surf, targeting her weaker special defense and making that 3 one-shots in a row. Great job, Crabrawve. Now's the point in the story where Team Rocket takes over Goldenrod City, and honestly, the grunts here are still pretty underleveled, and since they all have poison types, Crackpipe, our Kadabra, can finally get his chance to shine as he easily mops the floor with them. That includes Proton and his 1 million IQ strategy of throwing 6 Weezings at us. So with the underground key obtained, we can make our way into the basement to continue our rampage and stop Team Rocket. Why do I hear boss music? Yep, our rival CEO is back for another tango, and this time, his team got a big power spike. I made sure to have a level advantage going in, since we don't want a repeat of last time, so we're leading with Amphi to hard counter his lead Crobat. A Thunderbolt finishes him off before he can kill half our team again, and I think this disorients our rival as he sends out Feraligatr. That lets us chain the kill with another T-Bolt, and actually, we can even clean up his Gengar too, since he can't really do much to touch us. He does set up a curse, so when his new Weavile comes out, we can switch out into Mr. Breest to complete the rest of the chain, taking out Weavile with a Brick Break, and his Magnezone falls immediately after. So we've just made it out of here alive, all thanks to a little planning and learning from our past mistakes. The rest of the trainers here are much easier, and we get to see some fun evos, like this guy's Magmar is now a Magmortar, but the actual boss battles here aren't really that noteworthy. Petrol and Ariana are very easily swept, and wait, why is Ariana's screen getting bigger? Oh man. Okay, so a few things. First, Pursuit is some BS. If they were still a Murkrow, then I think we'd probably tank it. But yeah, we're not surviving that off a Honchkrow. We can clean up the rest of the fight, but man, I never get to use Alakazam, and this would have been such a great opportunity. Well, you know what they say, when one door closes, another door opens, because in his place, we bring out the one and only Rizzler the Drowsy. After dying a horrific death to our rival's Charizard, the Rizzler has made his triumphant return, and with a beacon of hope restored to our team, we can charge back in to clean up the last fight against Archer, finishing off his team thanks to Crabrawve and Bird Up, meaning with Team Rocket completely disbanded, we can finally make our way towards the last town to collect our 8th and final gym badge. On our way there are a couple ace trainers we can dodge, but we accidentally hit this one, starting the rematch of the century as he sends out a Charizard. But fortunately, the level cap here is still pretty bad, so we can still survive the encounter and continue on our way, catching a Poliwhirl here named Jaking It.
I'm Jaking It.
As we finally make our way into Blackthorn. So the gym here, in my opinion, has the most significant buffs. Every trainer has either a Dragonite or a Kingdra. Luckily, we have our Ice Beams for the Dragonites, but the Kingdras are actually tougher to break through. We have to cheese some of them, but one wrong slip up and we could easily lose a team member. We managed to squeeze by, and Rizzler even learned Psychic before evolving into his final form, meaning with everything taken care of, it's time to challenge probably our toughest gym fight of the run. Clair starts the battle with her Gyarados, so we can lead with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to counter him with a quad-effective Thunderbolt. That's of course a one-shot, but against her first Dragonite, this one I'm really not confident in. My thinking was, I know we can tank a Dragon Pulse, so we can use this opportunity to cut his speed with Thunder Wave. But Dragonite, the little cheater, lands a critical hit Dragon Pulse, which, yeah, I'ma be real with you, Chief. Ain't nobody living a crit Dragon Pulse. At the very least, we have a free switch into Krabrave, who can land a Choice Specs boosted 4 times effective Ice Beam, and we don't even take him out. On the bright side, we always tank a Dragon Pulse, and since we have the ability Shell Armor, we don't have to worry about any crits. Clair tries a few times to heal, but a few more hits and we can finish off our first Dragonite. Unfortunately, a second Dragonite hits the battlefield and we're kinda pinned here. If I switch, no one can take 2 Dragon Pulses, so in order to keep our momentum and also knowing that we outspeed, I have Krabrave fire off one last Ice Beam. It brings Dragonite to the red, but no crit and no freeze means we're hit with another Dragon Pulse. That is 2 team members gone, so I've got to call on Bird Up to finish off Dragonite. And that only leaves her Kingdra, but since we're still full health, I need Bird Up to get a little chip before tagging out. That ends up being a stupid decision because we just barely tank a Hydro Pump, so that's enough chip for now. We can pivot out with a U-turn and set up the Leech Seed with Wholesome 10, but our health is too low to make use of it. Instead, I call on our newly evolved Rizzler to use his naturally high special defense to tank a Hydro Pump before knocking out the Kingdra with a Psychic to finish off the battle. Meaning, with 8 badges in hand, we can lay our 2 fallen team members to rest in our ever-growing death box, and, actually, make that 3, because this random Ace Trainer in Dragon's Den is carrying a Dragonite with Thunder and hits our Bird Up while we're in the air. And of course, we're locked into the 2-turn move, so after we connect on the next turn, Dragonite connects with another Thunder to take us out. This one, look, losing someone to a gym fight or a rival fight, that's fine. That's to be expected. But these random Joe Schmo trainers, this sucks. At this point, I made a vow, not just to me, but to our entire team and all our fallen soldiers. We are not gonna lose another team member. And that starts with our new recruit, OK Bubby the Dratini, along with Jakenit the Poliwhirl, now fully evolved into a Politoed, and that random-ass Magnemite we caught back around Gym 4 named the Mimic. So with the team fully evolved, we technically still have to finish the Lugia storyline, which ends up being a pretty easy task as we clear out the Kimono Girls and make our way into Whirl Islands. I've been saving our Master Ball, which means we don't have to even worry about beating him in a battle. I won't be using him since I like to avoid using legendaries, but we still give him a legendary nickname, Peter Griffin. Bruh. And that is the last thing we have to do before making our way over to the Elite Four. There is a rival fight here, but I think last time we smacked him around a little too hard because our rival CEO is severely underleveled for this point in the game. He's finally got his 6th team member, which is an impressive Alakazam. Really wish we could have one right about now. But it's no worry as Jakenit can finish him off with a Surf. The rest of his team falls just like before, meaning we can march forward and set foot onto the Indigo Plateau to take on the penultimate challenge of the game. The first challenge is Will, but Mr. Breest, who hasn't made an appearance in a bit, steps forward and completely sweeps all 5 members of his team. Our Guts ability finally comes online as we start the battle pre-poisoned, meaning we can outspeed 5 times and take out his team with 5 Night Slashes. Also, we're holding onto the Metronome, so even the tanky Slowbro doesn't stand a chance, as all 5 of his Pokemon fall and we move forward to challenge Koga. The strat is still the same here as we lead with Heracross, but even though Ariados is a quick cleanup, his Crobat will outspeed us, so I've got to tag out. The Mimic comes out and cleans up not only his Crobat, but also Forretress and Venomoth before completely walling his last Mon, since Muck is only carrying poison moves. Bruno is somehow even easier since we've got a dedicated Psychic counter. The Rizzler absolutely wipes the floor with his team, taking out Hitmontop and also an insane pickup as we land a Focus Blast on his Steelix. The rest of the team goes down pretty easily since we've got not one, but 2 Psychic counters in our Exeggutor, so that's 3 members down with only 1 Karen left to take on. And who else but Mr. Breeze to come back out and hard counter her Dark types. Her lead Umbreon goes down to an overkill close combat, which always baits out Honchkrow, so we can switch into Magneton for another hard counter. And that always baits Houndoom, so Jakenit can clean him up, which then always baits Vileplume, which Mr. Breeze can come back out to finish off, leaving only her Gengar, which Rizzler, our GOAT, can pick off for the final KO, letting us cleanly take out the Elite Four with only Lance left in our path. And for Lance, I have kind of a weird strategy. It turns out his lead Gyarados is a pretty good opportunity to set up a little, and my idea was to go for a Swords Dance to offset the Intimidate. Then we can connect with a Guts boosted +1 attack boosted Facade for a clean knockout. This is the best way to always bait Charizard out, who also dies to a boosted Facade, but once Aerodactyl comes out, we've got to switch. I send out the Mimic to tank all of his moves, then we counter back with a Thunderbolt to secure another one-shot. Lance should always send out his Ace Dragonite now, since he wants to use Fire Blast, and we've removed the other Fire type on his team. That means we've got an easy switch into Jakenit, and with our Choice Scarf, we can outspeed the Dragonite to connect with the quad effect of Ice Beam, which Dragonite tanks. He gets some health back with his Citrus Berry, but Lance's AI completely throws and uses Safeguard. One more Ice Beam finishes him off, leaving only 2 more Dragonites left. We can take out the first one on our way out, getting another KO with Ice Beam, but against the second one, it's a little tougher. Dragon Rush has a chance to paraflinch us, so we need to maneuver a bit. First, Magneton can resist the dragon moves and paralyze him, but we still need a clean switch. The only way we can do that is to switch into Eggy, thus baiting Blizzard and giving us another opportunity to bring Politoed back out. And with one last Ice Beam, Jakenit connects with the attack, but Dragonite hangs on. But then the paralysis kicks in as Dragonite gets fully paralyzed, meaning even though Lance heals back to full with the full restore, it's just not enough as Jakenit fires off one last Ice Beam, scoring us the quad effective knockout and taking out Lance. But I know the Johto run doesn't truly end until we face a secret boss, and luckily with Kanto unlocked as well as an increased level cap, we can get our final power spike as we evolve the Mimic into Magnezone at the power plant, as well as finally unlock our Dragonair's potential and evolve him into his final form. And so, with one last photo before we head up the mountain, we can head forth to challenge the true final boss of SoulSilver. Red starts the battle with his newly evolved Raichu, so I've got to start with our newly evolved Mimic to resist all of his moves. Unlike Pikachu, Raichu can actually make use of that higher level and fire off very powerful Thunderbolts and Volt Tackles, so we need the Mimic to resist them. Our Choice Specs boosted Tri-Attack connects for huge damage, and even gets a lucky freeze. We finish him off on the next turn, and this immediately baits out Charizard. But just like in the Lance fight, it's a simple switch into Jakenit as we can fire off a powerful Surf, bringing Charizard to 1 HP as the Hail Chip finishes him off. Venusaur's the next one out, but we can catch a lucky switch into OK Bubby on a Frenzy Plant, and since he needs a turn to recharge, we can set up a Dragon Dance before going on the offense with Outrage. We can chain a couple kills as Venusaur goes down, along with his follow-up Lapras before he gets a chance to spam Blizzard, but by the time Snorlax comes out and our Outrage ends, we can switch into Mr. Breeze to fire off one more close combat, one-shotting him and leaving only one final Pokemon left to take on. Blastoise hits the field, and although we have a few options we can send in, there's only really one person for the job. The Rizzler comes out, fighting through the onslaught of perfect accuracy blizzards from Blastoise, and uses the turtle's own weight against it to fire off 2 grass knots, finishing off his final Pokemon and winning us not only the battle, but our entire run. If you've made it this far, I just want to say, genuinely, thank you so much for watching all the way through. This run was the most fun I've had playing Pokemon, and I know I made some of those early game battles seem kinda easy, but all the planning and encounter routing, like maximizing our odds for Geodude against Falkner, starting with Cyndaquil for Bugsy, or even avoiding some grass encounters to save for the headbutt trees to have a Heracross for Whitney. I know almost all of these guys didn't make it, but I really did have a lot of fun using them, especially having our soft rule where we can't just like kick Ledian off the team just because he sucks. Also, I know I alluded to it a few times, but I'm gonna put up my videos that I did the same challenge for in Fire Red and Emerald. I'm really proud of those. Honestly, the Emerald one was way tougher because Brawly has a Machamp, a Medicham, and a Hariyama, and our level cap is only level 19. I think if you like this one, then you should definitely check it out. Alright, that's all from me. Thank you guys again for being here. Oh, and you should subscribe if you want to stay up to date with my new videos. Okay, see ya.